Israel Adesanya is what he knew and thought he was, the best player on his feet. Adesanya trying to close it out.
Israel Adesanya has reclaimed his middleweight throne in spectacular fashion, delivering a second-round knockout victory over Dricus Du Plessis to close out UFC 305 at RSC Arena in Perth, Western Australia. This fight was not just another title defense for Adesanya. It was a battle for honor, pride, and the title of the true African champion in the UFC. In what was perhaps his toughest challenge to date, Adesanya silenced the doubters and reasserted himself as one of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport. The highly anticipated bout was a clash between two champions of African heritage, with the stakes higher than ever. Israel Adesanya, known as the last stylebender, came into the fight with a point to prove. He had faced adversity in his career, but this was an opportunity to remind the world why he is considered one of the best. Adesanya's opponent, Dricus Du Plessis, had been a thorn in his side, with their rivalry boiling over during the pre-fight press conference. The tension was palpable, and the fight promised to be a historic moment in the UFC. The first round began with both fighters cautious, each testing the waters and feeling out their opponent. Du Plessis opened with several low kicks that landed, while Adesanya peppered in some punches, but neither fighter landed anything of significant note. The slow start was a prelude to the explosive action that was to come. Just as the fight seemed to be settling into a rhythm, Du Plessis pressured Adesanya against the cage, but Adesanya responded with a devastating knockout punch that brought the fight to a sudden and violent end. The moment was nothing short of electrifying, as Adesanya delivered his crowning achievement in what is already a storied career. The victory was a significant burden lifted off Adesanya's shoulders. Du Plessis had been a constant source of frustration, bringing Adesanya to tears during their press conference and adding extra fuel to an already intense rivalry. With this big win, Adesanya became the undisputed middleweight champion for the third time, reclaiming his title and solidifying his legacy. The Nigerian-born fighter, who grew up in New Zealand, had lost his championship to Sean Strickland the previous year, but his return to the octagon was nothing short of spectacular. In his post-fight interview, Adesanya credited his victory to his instincts and preparation, saying, "I was well prepared for him, and I had it all planned out with my corner. I trusted my instinct." Adesanya's performance was a reminder of why he is often referred to as one of the best striking technicians in the UFC. With 16 career knockouts in MMA, Adesanya's striking is second to none, and he demonstrated that again with his knockout of Du Plessis. Despite his modest striking accuracy of 48%, Adesanya's fluidity and precision inside the octagon are unmatched. Additionally, Adesanya has shown that he is not just a striker, he also possesses grappling skills, holding a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His exceptional takedown defense, with a success rate of 78%, has been a key factor in his continued dominance. Du Plessis, meanwhile, came into the fight with an impressive record, showcasing his relentless gas tank and striking power with 4 knockouts in just 7 UFC fights. He had a slightly better striking accuracy than Adesanya, standing at 50%, but the hole in his game was his inability to avoid too many takedowns. The build-up to the fight promised a war, and fans who expected an all-out battle between Adesanya and Du Plessis were not disappointed. Both fighters had a cautious first round, exchanging leg kicks and testing each other's defenses. However, the second round saw the fight escalate, with both men standing toe-to-toe and trading punches. Adesanya's knockout was a masterclass in timing and precision. After absorbing body shots from Du Plessis while backed against the cage, Adesanya unleashed 2 huge right-hand punches that stunned and then knocked down his opponent. The 33-year-old then followed up with a hammer fist while Du Plessis was on the mat, prompting the referee to stop the fight before further damage could be inflicted. Adesanya's victory was decisive, leaving no doubt about who the superior fighter was on the night. The main event of UFC 305 was more than just a fight, it was a clash of cultures and identities. Adesanya, who was born in Nigeria and moved to New Zealand at the age of 10, had taken issue with Du Plessis' claims of being the first real African champion in the UFC. This assertion had been a point of contention between the two fighters, with Adesanya feeling that it disrespected the achievements of himself, Kamaru Usman, and Francis Ngannou, three African-born fighters who all became UFC champions after moving abroad. The tension between Adesanya and Du Plessis was evident during the pre-fight press conference, where the two exchanged heated words. Adesanya was asked whether he would take the belt back to Nigeria if he won, to which he responded, "I'm going back to Nigeria. I think Friday I'm going to South Africa, and then I'm back to New Zealand." This statement set off Du Plessis, who interjected with a provocative comment, asking Adesanya if he would be taking his servants with him. The remark was met with fury from Adesanya, who fired back, "What the hell are you even on about, bro? Shut the hell up. You don't know anything about my story." The exchange highlighted the deep-seated animosity between the two fighters and set the stage for their explosive showdown. The bad blood between Adesanya and Du Plessis had been brewing for over a year, with tensions reaching a boiling point after Du Plessis' upset win over Robert Whittaker in July. Adesanya had been particularly incensed by Du Plessis' comments, which he viewed as a challenge to his African identity. The animosity was palpable, and the fight became as much about pride and heritage as it was about the middleweight title. In the octagon, however, Adesanya let his fists do the talking. His knockout victory over Du Plessis was not just a win, it was a statement. Adesanya showed that he is not only the best middleweight in the world, but also the rightful African champion, a title he holds with pride. The victory was a culmination of years of hard work and dedication, and it was a moment that will be remembered as one of the highlights of his career. Adesanya's return to the octagon after an 11-month hiatus was met with great anticipation, especially after his lackluster performance against Sean Strickland. Many fans wondered what Adesanya would look like in his return, but he left no doubt that he is still at the top of his game. His knockout of Du Plessis was a reminder of the power, precision, and athleticism that have made him a two-time middleweight champion. The fight also marked Adesanya's first title defense since losing his belt to Strickland, a defeat that had left many questioning whether he was still the same fighter who had dominated the division. Adesanya himself admitted that the loss to Strickland felt like a bad dream, a fight where nothing seemed to go his way. But with his victory over Du Plessis, Adesanya has silenced the doubters and reasserted himself as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. In the aftermath of the fight, Adesanya was visibly emotional, dedicating his victory to his family and those who have supported him throughout his career. "I am a freaking human being. I am a man. I can cry and whoop your bum at the same time," Adesanya said, pointing to his family in the front row. The victory was not just a personal triumph for Adesanya, it was a celebration of his journey from a young boy in Nigeria to a global superstar in the UFC. As for Du Plessis, the loss is a significant setback, but it is also a learning experience. He may have come up short against Adesanya, but the South African fighter has shown that he belongs among the elite in the UFC. Du Plessis will undoubtedly return to the octagon, armed with the lessons learned from this defeat and ready to continue his pursuit of greatness. In conclusion, Israel Adesanya's victory over Dricus Du Plessis